Okay, so we're diving into some fascinating stuff today. Thermal batteries
Yeah.
and their role in America's renewable energy future. Um, I was looking at some data, and it's pretty amazing to see how far we've come with things like wind and solar.
Yeah.
They're now accounting for 14% of our electricity,
Wow.
with total renewables at 22%. So it's a big question for all of us, as this clean energy keeps growing. How do we store it reliably?
Right.
And at the same time, how do we help these really big industries get away from fossil fuels?
Yeah, that's the big question. And that's where things get really interesting because one of the potentially powerful answers lies in a technology that's been around for like 200 years, thermal batteries.
Oh, wow.
But they're now being completely reimagined for our modern energy needs.
So what exactly is a thermal battery? Like, how does it actually work to store energy?
Okay, so imagine this. You have excess electricity and you want to store it. A thermal battery essentially takes that electricity and converts it into heat. Okay.
And it stores that heat in materials like clay graphite or even just bricks. Like the materials are super common and really affordable, which is a huge plus. And these materials can hold on to incredibly high temperatures. We're talking like over 1,650 degrees Celsius, which is 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow, that's hot.
Yeah, for extended periods, too. It could be hours, days, even months.
Okay, so we keep hearing about lithium-ion batteries everywhere. What are the main advantages of these thermal batteries over lithium-ion? What do you think is important for us to understand?
I think the biggest advantages come down to two things: the materials and the cost.
Right.
Lithium-ion batteries rely on materials that can be, really expensive, and the supply chains are complicated.
Yeah.
But thermal batteries use materials that are abundant and cheap, and this has a huge impact on the price. There was a report in 2023, I think you sent it to me, that showed thermal batteries cost about $232 per kilowatt hour.
Compared to $304 per kilowatt hour for lithium-ion. So that's a big difference.
Yeah, that is a significant difference. You mentioned decarbonizing those heavy industries.
Right.
Why is that such a game changer? What's the big deal there?
Well, think about the really big industries. Steel, cement, chemicals. They use a ton of energy and they produce a lot of emissions.
Yeah.
Actually, they could be responsible for more than 50% of global emissions by 2050.
Oh, wow.
But thermal batteries can offer them a direct and pretty affordable way to get the clean, high-temperature heat they need. And they can get it exactly when they need it. This is a big deal because it means we could potentially cut global CO2 emissions by 20%. Just by switching to thermal batteries.
20%, that's huge.
Yeah,
so who are the companies that are really leading the way in this field? And what are they actually doing right now?
Well, there are a few really exciting companies making progress. Rondo Energy, for instance, they have the backing of Bill Gates. And they already have a thermal battery system running at a biofuel plant in California. And get this, they plan to scale up to 90 gigawatt hours by 2027. That could potentially eliminate 12 million tons of CO2.
Wow.
Yeah. Another company is Antora Energy. They're also in California. They're using carbon blocks and some really specialized materials that can directly generate electricity when heated.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit similar to how solar panels work with sunlight, and they've raised about $150 million in investments.
Okay, so they're definitely getting some attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's Fourth Power in Boston. They're working with superheated graphite, and they just secured $19 million to build a 10 megawatt hour pilot facility.
It's amazing to see how this isn't just theory anymore. These companies are actually building these things.
Exactly. And they're not just building them. They're partnering with major companies, too, like Eastman Chemical and H&M.
Really?
Yeah.
So what does that look like? What are they doing?
Yeah. It means they're looking at how to integrate thermal batteries into all sorts of sectors, from food and fuel production to things like textiles. These industries need clean heat for their manufacturing processes, and thermal batteries could be the answer.
So it's really starting to feel like thermal batteries are having a real impact.
Yeah, for sure.
But of course, with any new technology, there are always challenges. What are some of the hurdles that we need to be aware of when it comes to the wider use of these thermal batteries?
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the biggest challenges is integration. figuring out how to fit these high-temperature systems into existing industrial plants.
Right.
Ensuring they're safe and maybe even redesigning parts of the industrial processes. That's a big engineering task. And then there's the whole issue of investment. We need a lot of money up front to build these facilities and to scale them up so they can have a real impact.
Right. So it's a lot of upfront investment, but potentially huge savings down the line. So given everything we've talked about, the affordability, the potential for scaling, and how well suited they seem to be for these big energy-intensive industries, and considering how fast renewables are growing, what kind of impact do you think thermal batteries could have in getting us to a cleaner and more reliable energy future? It's pretty amazing to think that this old technology could actually play such a crucial role. What do you think?
I think you're spot on. It really is fascinating to see how this old idea is coming back in such a powerful way. And I think the potential is huge, especially as we keep seeing renewables grow and grow. It's definitely something to keep our eyes on.
For sure. Thanks for breaking it all down.
My pleasure.
It's been a great deep dive.
Yeah.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep exploring the fascinating world of clean energy.